Some girls grow up certain they'll marry into comfort. I never did, because I was raised by the woman who created hers from scratch. My mother started a logistics company in a repurposed warehouse just outside Portland. She didn't inherit it. She didn't marry into it. She built it out of nothing, with 2 forklifts, a rented space, and herself as the only employee. As for me, I grew up surrounded by shipping slips and shrink-wrapped pallets. My mom was the type who worked 16 hours straight, and still came home in time to braid my hair before bed. She never dumped her stress on me, though I could see it trailing her like a shadow. When I had a science project due, she sat with me past 11 p.m., right after settling vendor invoices. When I brought home a bad grade, she didn't yell. She printed practice sheets and studied with me at the kitchen table. We didn't have luxury. What we had was stability. No nannies, no flashy cars, no spring breaks abroad. But we had warmth, honesty, and safety. And yet, somehow, I still fell for someone who grew up with everything I didn't. I met Damon my sophomore year at a campus event. He was a year ahead, studying architecture, wearing a blazer, carrying that quiet confidence of someone who never thought twice about money. He asked what I did outside of class, and I said mostly keeping my mom's business from catching fire. He laughed. I liked that he didn't press for details. I liked his smile. One coffee led to another. One study session turned into weekend walks. He was thoughtful and steady, his mind restless but his heart anchored. I told him right away. I came with forklift grease under my nails, and about 600 invoices waiting in my inbox. He smirked and said, "That's hot." We were opposites, but we fit. He was calm. I was fire. He didn't mind that eating out wasn't always in my budget. I didn't mind that his place had designer light fixtures. The first time he met my mom, he treated her with respect. She said nothing afterward, just gave me a small nod, as if to say, "All right. For now." After graduation, Damon got a job at a boutique firm in Seattle. I stayed behind to finish school and help my mom expand into another warehouse. We did long distance, not flawless, but it worked. Then one February night, he took me to an impossibly elegant rooftop restaurant in downtown Portland. Candles, heavy silverware, a skyline view that looked painted. I was sure he'd propose. He didn't. Instead, he said, "I want you to meet my parents." My fork froze halfway up. He reached for my hand, steady and warm. "I already told them I'm serious about you, that I want to marry you. But they should meet you." I searched his face. Behind the smile was something, hesitation, not fear exactly. "Is there something I should know?" I asked. He exhaled. "They're formal. Especially my mom. Clarice. Don't take it personally if she seems cold." I should have known. The following Sunday, I drove alone to their home in Bellevue. Damon had gone ahead for family prep, whatever that meant. I followed winding tree-lined roads into a gated community straight out of a Nancy Meyers film. The house wasn't just large. It was grand. Every hedge, tile, and fixture screamed curated wealth. It didn't intimidate me, it made me angry. Clarice opened the door herself. She gave me a polite once-over, the kind where rich women tally your worth by your shoes. "You're Celeste. You're early," she said. "Punctual. That's good." Her smile was glossy, tight, all manners, no warmth. She guided me into a foyer that smelled like lilies and leather, then into a sitting room clearly not meant for actual sitting. By the fireplace, her husband Gareth flipped through a binder without looking up. "Damon had to step out briefly," Clarice said as she eased into a pristine cream chair. "But we're glad to have you." I perched on the edge of an ottoman that probably cost more than my first car. "So," she began, folding her hands, "Damon tells us you work with your mother." "I do. She owns a logistics company. I've helped since I was a teenager. Now I mostly run operations, warehousing, compliance, vendor scheduling." "A family business," Gareth muttered, still buried in papers. "Yes," I nodded. "Your father?" Clarice asked. "Gone before I turned 4. She gave a small, practiced nod, like someone reacting to a sad movie trailer. "So your mother raised you alone?" "She did everything," I said. "And she's still running this company?" "Yes. Though lately she's been handing more over to me." Clarice tilted her head. "I see. A pause stretched. Then, with practiced softness, she said, I hope you understand the world Damon comes from. It's particular. I blinked. Pardon. Her smile widened. He was raised with a certain expectation, legacy, structure. Not a judgment, just reality. I didn't know legacy required inheritance, I replied. She didn't flinch. That's not what I said. Finally, Gareth looked up. What she means is compatibility matters. You seem hardworking. Admirable. But marriage is more than affection. It's financial, cultural alignment. Cultural. I repeated, sharper than I intended. You come from a different world, Clarice said simply. You're industrious. Rare. But long-term partnership. It needs shared roots. My chest pounded. Not from surprise, but from fury. I appreciate your honesty, I said evenly. Clarice leaned forward, her smile unchanging. We only want the best for Damon. I'm sure your mother feels the same. She does, I answered. Softly. More than anyone else I'd ever known, Gareth said. Better to be honest now than to unravel knots later. I rose to my feet. The message was unmistakable. I didn't belong. I wasn't part of them. I wasn't wanted. At the doorway, Clarice extended her hand. Thank you for coming, Celeste. Truly. I met her eyes and replied. Thank you for the honesty. Then I stepped out into the biting air, slid into my car, and clutched the steering wheel until my knuckles blanched. I wouldn't cry. Not for them. Not ever. I didn't drive home right away. I sat there, engine off, for nearly 20 minutes, staring at a house that would never feel like mine. Clarice's words echoed, industrious, unsuitable, another world. Every phrase had been wrapped in velvet, yet edged with blades. They didn't see me as a person, only as an inconvenience. I drifted aimlessly in my car, not ready to face my mom. It wasn't shame, neither for me nor for her. But how could I explain that they had spoken to us like we were nothing, without tearing down everything she had built? Eventually, I found myself at the old park near my childhood street. The swings were rusted, gravel worn thin. I used to come here after school, pretending the swings could lift me out of everything. Now I sat there, a shadow of that child. Footsteps broke the silence. They didn't feed you, did they? My mom asked. I turned. She stood there in worn jeans and an old jacket, foil-wrapped sandwich in one hand, thermos in the other. Knew you'd come here, she said. You always did when things went bad. I blinked rapidly, but tears still escaped. She handed me the sandwich, then took the swing beside mine, sipping from the thermos like we were just two friends passing time. I didn't say anything harsh, I whispered. Didn't think you would, she replied. They talk down to you. To us, to all we've worked for. Of course they did. Her tone was so matter-of-fact that I turned, startled. People like that, those who inherit privilege, they convince themselves they're defending something sacred. Really, they're guarding their reflection. You don't look like them. You don't sound like them. To them, you're a threat. I didn't even raise my voice, I said quietly. I just walked away. My mom smiled faintly. Stronger than me. We sat in silence. I unwrapped the sandwich and bit in. Still warm, chicken and arugula my comfort. They don't deserve you, she murmured. I know you want to let go of him. I hesitated. No. Damien, he wasn't there. He's not like them. Then I'll take care of it. I blinked. What? I'll meet them. No. Why not? Because you don't need to prove anything. I'm not proving, she said, standing. I'm setting the record straight. I stood too. Mom. But she cut me off with the look I hadn't seen since I was 10, and tried to lie about breaking the office label printer. That look meant, I'm going and you won't stop me. And just like that, 2 days later, we were standing outside the Alcott house again. Damien had called, apologizing endlessly after I cut him off following the meeting. He hadn't known what his parents had said, only that I'd walked out and refused his calls. When I told him my mom wanted to speak to his family, he paused a long moment, then said, All right. I'll be there. Clarice opened the door with a tight smile, her eyes widening when she saw who stood beside me. My mother, I said flatly. My mom stepped forward, extending her hand. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Clarice hesitated just a beat too long before accepting. Inside, Gareth was already waiting in the living room. Damien lingered at the edge, looking like he wished the walls would swallow him. Mrs. Gareth began. Celeste's mother, my mom said with a smile. Though most people just call me the reason your supply chain still runs. Gareth's mouth opened then shut. She didn't sit. Instead, she paced the room like she was inspecting stock. I almost didn't come, she said. But then I remembered, you leased distribution space from Hunter Logistics. 3 properties to be exact. The Bellevue Industrial Park. The Spokane Transfer Hub. The Overflow Lot by Rayner. Clarice froze. My mother stayed composed. Dangerously composed. I own those properties, she said. Gareth paled. And our contracts? He pressed, voice tight. They lapse in 36 days, with a 30-day termination clause, she answered evenly. Which I invoked this morning. Your receptionist should have it by now. I'd imagine your attorneys are opening the letter as we speak. Clarice's tone sharpened. Why would you do that? Because you insulted my daughter, my mother replied. And in doing so, you insulted me. Not as an entrepreneur. As her mother. Color rose in Clarice's face. That's petty. My mother smiled, slow and deliberate. No. It's practical. Damon tried to step in. Mrs. Hunter. She raised her hand, stopping him cold. I'm not here to negotiate, Damien. I only have one question. Do you love my daughter? He didn't hesitate. Yes. Would you choose her, even if it meant walking away from all of this? He glanced at his parents, then back at me. Yes. Gareth's face darkened. Damien. No, he cut him off firmly. You had your chance to respect her. You didn't. Clarice shot to her feet. And what now? You expect us to simply accept this? To let her come into our family and tear everything apart? My mother stepped in front of me. She's not stepping in. He's stepping out, if that's what it takes. I won't be bullied, Clarice snapped. You already tried, I said, finding my voice at last. You wanted me to feel small. And you managed it, for about 5 minutes. But you forgot who raised me. Clarice's jaw tightened. My mother turned to Gareth. I'll consider reinstating the contracts, but under new terms. On one condition. Your son is treated with the same respect he's shown us. Gareth exhaled slowly. We were wrong. Her brow lifted. About me? About all of it, he admitted. She smiled. Good. Then let's discuss the future. Clarice looked as though she'd swallowed a shard of glass. And one more thing, my mother added almost casually. All eyes swung to her. If Damien is serious about building a life with my daughter, I want to offer him a position at our company. Starting at entry level. No favors, no shortcuts. Let him earn his place. Gareth looked ready to explode. But Damien's gaze landed on me, and he smiled. I'd be honored. Clarice said nothing. Not when my mother politely thanked her for the untouched tea. Not when Damien offered to walk us out. Not even when Gareth gave a stiff nod. As if that could undo the wreckage of their perfectly polished little world. Outside, the air felt charged, sharp as the sky before a storm. Damon walked us to the car. She terrifies me, he whispered. She raised me. I murmured back. My mom lowered the window. Don't be late Monday. 7:30 sharp. He gave a crooked smile. Should I bring coffee? You'll bring grit, she said. Coffee's optional. He nodded like a soldier receiving orders. As we drove through streets lined with identical mansions, I half expected my mom to sigh in victory, to smirk in triumph. But she didn't. 10 blocks passed in silence before she said, I didn't expect to like him that much. I turned. You liked him. He didn't flinch. That's rare. From her, that was a standing ovation. Damien started the following Monday. No office, no title. My mom sent him straight to the warehouse intake. First shift. Steel-toed boots, buzzing fluorescent lights, real work. The crew didn't cut him any slack. They tossed him broken scanners and sent him out to haul pallets in the rain. At the beginning, the whispers were, that's the boss's future son-in-law. But eventually it shifted. Ask Damien. He knows how it's done. Meanwhile, I stepped into the position my mom had been quietly grooming me for all year. Scheduling, vendor inspections, payroll. Each week she placed another duty in my hands like a silent relay, passing me the torch one task at a time. Once I half-joked, "You're really trusting me with everything?" She didn't hesitate. "I always did. I just needed you to trust yourself." 3 months later, Damien and I sat cross-legged on my apartment floor. Takeout containers around us, spreadsheets spread between. I teased. "You realize you don't have to win her over anymore, right?" He shook his head. "I'm not doing this for her. I'm doing this for us, and maybe for me too. I've never built anything that wasn't simply given." That night, I knew I would marry him. He proposed in the break room. I was reheating leftover chili when he dropped a ring straight into the mug. I almost spilled it. Laughing, he said, "Sorry, this was supposed to be romantic. Didn't think you'd tilt the cup." I scooped the ring out with a spoon, chili on my fingers, and said yes. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Our wedding wasn't big, but it was ours. A riverside lot, folding chairs, simple and perfect. My mom wore deep navy and gave a speech that left half the room in tears. Clarice and Gareth came, sat stiffly in the back, and slipped out before dancing began. Nobody minded. Afterward, while we sipped champagne and ate leftover cake, my mom handed me an envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "Deed transfer," she said. "For the Rainer facility. You're ready." I nearly dropped it. "You're giving me the building?" "No. I'm acknowledging what's already true. This company's been more yours than mine for a while. I just signed the papers to make it official." That night, I cried in the shower. Not from pressure, but from finally stepping into the legacy that had always been mine. A few weeks later, Damien showed me a sketch. "A house," he explained. 2 wings, 1 structure, separate spaces but a shared courtyard. Privacy and connection." "You mean living next to my mom?" "Not with. Next to. She'll call it a duplex and claim it was her idea." Exactly. That fall, we broke ground. Every weekend, Damien worked side by side with the crew, balancing design and practicality. My mom pretended not to care, but I caught her more than once obsessing over tile samples with the focus of a general mapping battlefield terrain. By spring, it was complete. 2 entrances mirrored layouts, a courtyard glowing with light and quiet. She moved in first, taking the east wing. Claimed it had better light for reading, though we knew it was really for the backyard view. Months later, I stood in the Rainer facility, my facility, watching trucks back into the loading dock. Damien was beside me, clipboard in hand. "You ever think about how we ended up here?" I asked. "All the time," he said. "Sometimes I still think your mom's going to pop in and tell me I'm sweeping wrong." "She probably will." I laughed, and so did he. Mom never officially retired. She just started arriving later, leaving earlier, saying things like, "You don't need me in that meeting." But every Friday she still brought donuts. Every Monday, she still walked the floor with her clipboard, noticing details no one else caught. When asked about her role, she'd smile. "I supervise the people who don't need supervision." At a vendor summit later that year, someone introduced me as the daughter of Daphne Hunter. I corrected them with a smile. "She's my mom and my partner, but this company is mine." That night, I told her what I said. She smirked. "Damn right." Now, when people talk about Damien, they don't say he married into the company. They say he built something alongside me. And when they talk about me, they don't say I'm Daphne's daughter. They say I run Rainer. But in my heart, I'll always be the girl who watched her mom dismantle an empire with a smile and a logistics contract. I didn't marry into a better life. I came from one, and built the rest with my own hands, following the blueprint of the strongest woman I've ever known.